Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to 48 Now. It is digital host AJ Weist, and the Lunar New Year celebration begins next Wednesday, January 29th. And of course, this year, 2025, is the year of the snake. Today, I'm joined with Miss Rhiannon Bacon with the Hearthstone Tea Tasting. Rhiannon, a tea tasting event is happening this Sunday to help bring in the Lunar New Year celebration. Talk a little bit about Sunday's event.
At Hearthstone, I've been doing tea tastings actually for 4 years here. We started online, and then I switched to mostly in-person events. And I've so last year was the first year I did a big full Lunar New Year tea tasting. Before that, we did one online. There are not a lot of Lunar New Year events locally, which I find kind of strange. Obviously, all the tea plant is native to Asia, and all of our uh, most of even if it's an herbal tea, a lot of the herbals come from Asia as well. So obviously, anything connected with tea is very Asian. So it's a great blend of things going on there to have the Lunar New Year and a tea tasting.
Right, absolutely. Kind of the best of both worlds there. But this year, it's the year of the snake. What
Yes.
exactly does that entail historically?
Okay, so the basically, so with the Chinese zodiac, and we say the word Chinese, but most of your Asian countries have a variant of it. So we just say Chinese to simplify it. So the according to the Chinese zodiac, you have 12 different animals. And so everybody has, just like our Western zodiac, when you think of everybody has their own sign. But the year, with the Chinese zodiac, the year that they're born is the most important sign. So in the year of the snake, of course, anybody born this year is going to be a snake. But also, you can use it to be kind of predictive astrology because it's that particular year is thought to bring the particular energies associated with whatever the snake in this year. So snakes, they're associated with a lot of strategy. They're very strategic, and there's a whole lot of planning. There's a further complication to this is because every year also has an element with it. So this year is actually year the wood snake. So the wood basically it's going to bring in some flexibility because the snakes can have this tendency to get really over analytical and just kind of lock in and we're doing this plan and it doesn't matter. Um, so the wood year will bring in some nice flexibility to that. So it's actually kind of a positive year, I think, for most people. The snakes can be very secretive, so you might be kind of surprised by the changes this year. But it is, on the whole, it's a great time for personal growth and all meanings of the word creativity. Try looking at things another way this year and borrow some of the snake's natural grace, and we should all make it through good.
Snakes are not my favorite reptile or favorite animal by any means, but yeah, the way you explained it there, like, I think I'm like, snakes do have a lot of strategy and everything you said there. Maybe it's helping me like see snakes in a different light, a little bit nicer to them. That's for sure. So at the
The
event,
Chinese zodiac is interesting because there's animals that a lot of people don't really think of as being all that, grand or fancy, or may even have a phobia of. Like the rat is one of the sign. I'm a rat. And snakes, pigs, like they're not they're it's a very different idea of what is a, a I don't know that nice animal is the right word, but d
right.
different priorities on what the good qualities of the animal are than
Uh
I think
huh.
how we look at it in America.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I'm a year of the dragon. I believe I'm a dragon. So I
Oh,
just thought that was super cool. I'm like,
so
heck yeah.
you just took your birth year last year then.
What was that?
So last year was Year of the Dragon.
Year of the
So
dragon. I was born in 2000.
so
I'm
it
not sure.
loops. It's it's a 12-year loop.
Hmm.
And then of course you're going through the elements. So then there's a it's a much larger loop before you get back to the same element that you were born in. So it's it's an interesting cycle. I won't go into to
Yeah.
everything, but
It's very fascinating, that's for sure. But at this event Sunday, I know various types of teas will be there. What can we expect to be sipping on, and what do the different teas represent?
yeah, so I try to I keep the exact teas I'm doing mostly a bit of a secret for people when they get here with to the event. But basically we're just kind to try to do like an overview of um, very traditional teas throughout different parts of Asia.
Very
So
cool.
we have a lot of last year we had ones from uh, various different provinces in China, and then we also had ones from Japan, and then we had ones from Vietnam. Um, and previous years I've had ones from Korea. So I try to get a good spread because each individual culture there in Asia can have a very different idea of what's like the best tea. So I try to bring a spread because calling it the Lunar New Year, I want to kind of open it up to recognize that it's not just a Chinese holiday. Of course, it's a huge holiday in China,
Right.
but it's also a holiday in all these other countries as well. So we try to get kind of a spread of teas from everywhere. So and ha also have a balance of lighter teas and darker teas. Like I'll t one of my favorite types of teas that I will always have, so it will surprise no one. Um, there's is a very dark tea. It's called Pu'er, and it's from China. There's actually a province there named Pu'er, which the tea is not named after the province. The province is named after the tea, just to specify that.
Okay. So this
So
is a
it's
very
really big
important
there.
tea. Yes.
So but it's very interesting because it's so dark. It can be aged up to 8 years. It can actually be aged longer than that, but typically there's an 8 year age on it. So it gets very complex and rich in its flavor. But not to take anything away from like Japan tends more towards the green teas. They love like matcha, things like that, which has a very different taste. So you go from this very dark, almost kind of like darkness like coffee in the pu'er to this very light, very grassy kind of taste of this very fresh green teas. Anyway, the goal is to try to introduce folks to all that range that the tea plant has, because that's all just the tea plant, not that there aren't. I do ones with flavorings and stuff too, but just those two that I named are just the tea plant processed different ways.
Very cool. Poo air. I'm gonna have to try some. Is it like sweet, or is it more like kind of like a grassy,
It's
earthier taste?
so it's very black, very strong. So um it can be hard when you're just getting used to it. I use a kind of lighter one for folks at the tea tasting, so they're not like this is way too much
Uh,
because the really strong pu'ers, some people describe as tasting like swamp water, and I don't want anybody to have that experience.
right.
So it's that strong of a flavor. But you can back it off. You don't have to brew it that long. You can have it processed with something else like osmanthus flowers is a popular thing to put in it, and it kind of lightens the flavor, so it's not. Don't feel like you're in a swamp.
Right.
I am all for the huge the swamp water pueros, by the way. Like I love
Okay.
this taste, but
Yeah.
it's not for everybody.
It's an acquired taste, you'd probably describe it as. Yes, ma'am.
You could say
Um,
that, yeah.
so talk a bit about the tea making process. It's certainly an art, and like how you were just describing, it's definitely an art. What inspired you to start Hearthstone here in the Huntsville community?
Um, it's sort of an interesting story because so it was during the height of COVID when we were all, not leaving the house, not going anywhere, and we're all just kind of in this constant state of worry about everything. And people were doing so many things on Zoom that had we'd never done before because we were so used to just being able to go to a place. And I saw this coffee tasting that was over Zoom. They would mail you the beans, and you would brew them, and then you would drink along with everybody, and you would, you know, taste all the different coffees. And I thought that would be wonderful, but with tea. Because I used to be a huge coffee drinker, but I can't handle the that level of that caffeine shot like coffee gives you. Tea slowly releases it, and I'm okay with that. So then I branched off into tea. And so I asked this like random friends and acquaintances like, hey, do you want to go do this tea tasting? Like I'll set it up over Zoom and I'll make a packet for everybody and they can pick it up off my porch. And then we'll meet up and we'll brew. And for some reason, that was probably just exactly the way I explained it. And for some reason, people were like, yeah, that sounds like fun. And so I got this group of people, like some people I knew really well, and then some people were just like friends of friends. And we met over Zoom and we had this tea tasting over Zoom. And if you can probably tell, I really, really love to talk about tea. So I went, as we were tasting the different types of teas, I went into the history of each tea because it's also not the process of making the tea itself is very complex and rich. But then there's also a whole historical story behind it because um, any any kind of it's the same way with certain types of spices. Any kind of plant that is that popular um, basically influences wars and governments and how things are run. So we went to the long, long stories about that for that particular tea tasting. But the other kind of lighter thing, other than just information is fun, is that tea to me is very much as opposed to like coffee, where coffee is more like we're getting out there and we're doing stuff. Whereas tea is like we're gonna take this respite, we're gonna take this break, and we're gonna settle down, and we're gonna make the tea. We're gonna go through the ritual of making all the tea with all the little you have all these little pieces. So you've got like the cups and the strainers and the leaves and this all the kettle and all these things. And so we're going through this ritual and we're settling down, and we're drinking our tea. And just that whole thing just kind of centers you so that then I say then you're ready to go back out into the world and face it after you've had this little quiet ritual. And so I also try to bring that into the tea tastings, is that energy of, yeah, we're all sitting around a table and people are talking and having fun and when we're learning about the teas, but we're also creating kind of a safe space for everyone to just let it just relax, settle for a
Right.
moment. Before then we have to go back out into the scary world and deal with things again.
Yeah, that's very well said. Yeah, that's something I haven't really thought about a lot. How like tea, super valuable, like you said, but it also has those relaxing and those the mental health qualities that it has as well. Lets you sit down and kind of like examine kind of what's going on around you, and being around a community like that is great. So, do you have any other all-time favorite teas you'd like to talk about?
So I do. I've mostly really talked about the tea plant because that's a lot what we're doing for the Lunar New Year tasting. But
Right.
I do also like flavored teas that are flavored with different things. I think one that I often surprise people with is that you can in fact eat lilac flowers, and they're very
Interesting.
good in tea.
Huh.
So I have actually several different blends that have lilac flowers in them, and so that's kind of I think an unexpected favorite for people. Um, that one that I really enjoy. It's kind of the opposite of puer because it's you got this light floral thing. So um different. I think maybe I'm an extremist about things. I'm like, we're go way over here into swamp water territory, and then we're some light flowers.
Absolutely. Um, what would you say, like, other than the tea tasting, what are some other great ways to celebrate the Chinese New Year?
Yeah. So I would one, I'm just gonna say this because I have a platform and maybe someone's listening to me. I would love to see more events around town that are celebrating the Lunar New Year because we have a large Asian community here, from a variety of different countries that are so excited whenever I haven't I've done a couple of other different types of theme celebrations. Like I did an art gallery thing that was Lunar New Year, that are just so excited to see something here. And not just the Asian community, also just anybody is also like, oh, I've never heard of that, let's go check that out. So I would love to see more events of any kind, around here that are Lunar New Year themed. So traditionally, not that tea isn't involved, but we I also have some traditional foods at for the tea tastings. So one thing that's really big is what we'd call sticky rice cakes. So it's not like anything that Americans eat. So it can kind of weird you out because it's just not quite like anything. But it's like the name, sticky. It's kind of ends up being like a gel, and it is sweet. It's like a sweetened kind of very sticky. It's like if you think of like um kind of like Jello, but a lot more sturdier than that, if that makes any sense. It's
Yes.
a very interesting texture. So it's actually a steamed rice cake. So those are traditionally eaten. There's a lot of traditional foods that are really fun, for the Lunar New Year. Of course, in your countries where they really are, there's a lot of people celebrating and there's huge celebrations. We've got fireworks. We've got particular types. We got like lion dance. If people have like the lion costume, and it's almost like gymnastics, like they have the big lion face on, but they're jumping around, and it's like a combination of gymnastics and puppetry. It's really fun. Or there's a lot of parade kind of oriented things where they might have like a big dragon, like on a stick, where like somebody's holding one piece of it and the next person behind them is holding another piece. Very beautiful things that they do in the street in like China. I just personally, I would love to see Huntsville do that. I just think that would be so fun.
I think so
Let's
as
have a
well.
Lunar New Year parade. It would be great.
Yes, that sounds super exciting, and yeah, that I am with you on that. I would love to see that come to Huntsville as well. So, what do attendees at the tea tasting event need to know before they go? Like where it'll be held, the parking situation, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I did want to tell you that this one is filled up.
Okay.
Um, but I'm going
Dang
to be making a
it.
second session.
Okay.
So that will be either the next Sunday or the Sunday after. Um, I wanted to get it not settled down so I could tell you today, but it didn't happen. But if you'll watch Hearthstone Tea Tasting social media, I will post, okay, yeah, it's this date, but it will be the Sunday first couple weeks in February. That I will do another session and then people can sign up for that. And and have more space because there's only so much space around the tea table and I have to cap it at some point.
Right.
I try to keep it kind of small because it's otherwise it gets too chaotic. And part of it is we're having a fun time, fun chill time that we want it. That's the goal.
That's right. It sounds very relaxing, and it'll still the next one will still be during the Lunar New Year as well, during the
So,
celebration.
it's traditionally a very long celebration. So yeah, it's not a it would not be a big deal in Asia for it to be, a bit later than that. Um, this particular tea tasting is at the Holistic Wellness Collective. I do a lot of tea tastings there because it's a comfortable sized room and easy parking. That's on Arcadia Circle. There's an Arcadia Drive, but it's on Arcadia Circle. And it sounds more complicated than it is. It's just actually right off the Parkway. So it's easy to get to. Um, and I actually try to rent different places around the the city because Huntsville's kind of spread out, and sometimes it's a long drive to one side or the other. So I try to mix it up and be at different places so that hopefully one of the tea tastings will be closer to where you are.
Yeah, it sounds like Arcadia Circle. That's just like 5 minutes down the road, I think, from where I am right now. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
super convenient.
it's pretty close.
Yes, ma'am.
You could make it there easy.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Well, Rhiannon, I believe that's all the questions I have for you. But if maybe I didn't ask something that you'd like to further add, please go ahead. But thank you so much for joining in with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for asking me to come out.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Some exciting stuff, that is for sure.